Yeah, tonight it is Flyers Bruins. It is Flyers pregame show. Jason Myrtetus, Brian Smith. We are live at the East Food Hall at the Wells Fargo Center. It is time for Flyers Bruins hockey. I have been frothing all day. Can you feel the station in my ears, by the way? Thank you. I have been frothing in the mouth all day about this game today. I don't know why. Like, I usually am pretty good at containing myself on game day. And, you know, coming off a 6-1 win over the Kraken, I go, yeah, it's the Kraken, right? They're a expansion team. And the Flyers, you know, destroyed them. But tonight it's the Bruins. I look back at the record of last year against the Bruins. I see the Flyers only got 6 points last year against the Bruins in 8 games. They only
seems like more than we did.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like we got that many, but I guess in 8 games.
Well, they got outscored in the series 20-32, 32-20.
Yeah.
Negative 12 goal differential in 8 games.
A lot of that was in Tahoe.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean it was everywhere.
Yeah. No, it was overall. Yeah, but yeah.
But the Tahoe was a big part of that. Yeah. You're right. And you looked at it, and I look at this game tonight, and I go, okay. The Bruins, legit team year in and year out in the Atlantic Division, as long as the perfection line's there. Bergeron and Marchand, Pasternak, they just signed McAvoy to that deal, right? Flyers go 2-4-0-2 against them last year with a .375 win percentage. All right, so this is a new season.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm ready for the game tonight. I'm pumped up for the game tonight.
You know what? It even carries a little bit more than when you realize that this is – we knew it was a TNT game, but it is an exclusive TNT game. This is the only NHL game going on right now. It's a doubleheader for them, and so we're it. It's a national broadcast, and you know it's silly to say measuring stick game on October 20th, but it is a chance to really see what this team's got, and that's kind of what I'm excited about. I want to see if what we saw, especially on Monday, carries over. Against the Boston team, the Flyers obviously had trouble with last year and have a lot of reason to want to really prove something this year.
Yeah, and look, you can't avenge what happened last year. Like that, last year's gone, right? Season to season, that doesn't matter.
Right.
And this is a new season. Both these teams are different. Flyers are far different. And the Bruins are a different team than they were last year as well. For example, there's no Tuukka Rask.
Right.
We don't even know if he's coming back or when he's coming back, if he does.
It's like a jilted ex that won't leave.
Yeah,
and just hanging around the room.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, he has said that if he's going to continue his career, he's only going to do it in one place. It's either Boston or he's done.
Yeah, okay.
But Jeremy Swayman goes tonight. And tonight, Brian, is also our first look at Martin Jones in an NHL regular season. His Flyers debut tonight. I mean, that's got to be a big storyline, correct?
Absolutely. You know, we saw a little bit of Martin Jones in the preseason, but I don't think at any point was what he would call his best effort. It was definitely a situation where he was trying to get comfortable, but did see some flash of him very, very solid. And we knew that he was going to get one of these games in this homestand because otherwise you're talking about him not playing for 2 weeks before the Flyers go on the road next week to go out west. So
plus,
yeah. So it was either tonight or Saturday, and you know I don't know at all what went into the decision. Didn't get a chance to ask the coaching staff, but it does make sense because you know Carter did seem to struggle a little bit against the Bruins last year. Martin Jones's numbers aren't any better, but you know it's just maybe just a good time to say, okay, we're going to give him this game, and Carter takes Saturday against Florida. Who knows? Maybe Martin Jones blows the doors off here tonight, gets a couple of games. But, I think it's a good chance for him to get a comfortable start at home and kind of get his feet wet in regular season action. And we've been saying all along that, he's not being expected to go out and play 60 games or anything like that this year. He's played more games in the last 5 seasons than any other goalie in the league. So he doesn't have to worry about that now. Just needs to go out on his nights, get the job done, and go from there.
Yeah, and the thing is it's already been 12 days since he's played a game.
Right.
The last preseason game was on a Friday, a week ago last Friday. And, look, I know that sometimes as a fan base we have to find something to pick at. And a lot of people on social media were picking at the fact that he's playing this game against the Bruins. And I was getting tweets from people saying, put him in against the weaker opponent. Well, Saturday is the
I'm
next
not sure this isn't the weaker opponent.
Exactly what I said. I said the Bruins likely are the weaker opponent when you compare those two teams. And you look at it, you go, okay, if you don't want him to play until the back-to-back in the Western Canada trip, that would be a week from tomorrow. So that would be 20 days between playing a game. That is too much.
Right. Yeah.
Not if you want a quality start.
Exactly. You can't ask a guy to sit for that long and expect him to come out and be sharp. You've got to get him into game action. You can't really replicate it in practice. It is something to be said that he's had to sit this long. He might still have to kind of get things back under his feet in the first period tonight, but it's definitely not something I don't think that he's hasn't seen before. You get breaks in the schedule all the time. Hopefully, you just treated it like that, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, too, is you'd have to assume that Carter gets the start in Edmonton because he's from Sherwood Park, Alberta.
Yep.
And, do you want to put Jones in after not playing for, in that case, it would be 19 days and put him in there against McDavid and Draisaitl?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
that's goalie abuse.
Yeah, that is. As a card-carrying goalie union member, we would file a grievance on that.
Cannot do that.
You can't do that to the guy. So, look, he gets the start tonight. I'm in agreement that this is the spot to give him the game. Now, if I'm Carter, I'm kind of going, I didn't have the greatest first game. I feel really good about game 2, and I don't want to wait till Saturday. But you understand, you have to be a pro and realize that this is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Even last year, 56 games was a marathon.
Right.
It was just a half marathon or 3/4 or 2/3 marathon.
It was like a marathon that you had to sprint because they just didn't get any days off. Other than the COVID break, that season was exhausting when you weren't on the ice. I can't imagine what it was like to play it.
Yeah. So it is going to be Martin Jones tonight. As you mentioned, Schmidt, in the last 5 years, nobody's played more than him. He played a ton of games. I want to get his numbers here against the Bruins. Now, he's always been in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
So he's not going to play the Bruins like he's played other teams in the East or in the West. So you're not going to see those kind of bulk numbers, if you will. Mm-hmm. But let me see here if I can get. Oh no, it just clicked off. This internet, I'll tell you, we rely on it too much. But okay, career and against the Bruins. So he's 31 years old. Been in the league a while now. He's played the Bruins 7 times. He has a record of 1-3-2.
Okay. With
an .867 goals against or save percentage and a .409 goals against average, and no shutouts.
Yeah, it's like you said.
Small sample.
Yeah, small sample size, and again, I knew that looking at them, they weren't that much better than what Carter had. But to be honest with you, most of the numbers that you're seeing from Carter Hart came last year, and again, I still consider last year to be a bit of an aberration when it comes to personal numbers and things like that. But who knows whether it was when you're San Jose, Boston's about as far away as you can get.
Yeah.
So tail end of long road trips, what have you. Not concerned about the past numbers, just more about what can he do tonight.
Yeah, and against the Bruins, a third of the goals he gave up against the Bruins were on the power play.
Oh, really? Okay.
But that's not shocking because that's a really good a team with a really good power play.
Right.
Which brings me to point number 2 tonight on the show. As we look at this game tonight, the PK early in the season has been a little shaky. They're trying to get into a rhythm on the penalty kill. They had a couple opportunities against the Kraken. It was the Kraken.
Right.
This is a different power play that they throw on the ice, and we saw it last year. The power play for the Boston Bruins is one that is very potent, can strike early, can strike often. They have a great goal scorer in David Pastrnak. They have a great setup man and face-off guy in Patrice Bergeron.
Right.
And another really good scorer in Brad Marchand, and a good power play guy back on the point in Charlie McAvoy. So staying out of the box tonight's got to be a big key to this game, in my opinion.
We saw it a little bit, too, in the preseason, and we knew even the preseason games against Boston, the Flyers were not fielding their full power play their full penalty kill against what was Boston's full power play, so we weren't concerned with it there. But the one thing the Flyers did do in that game was take too many penalties, and there were a couple of them that were, maybe working the kinks out type of penalties. There's too many men on the ice in there. A couple of other self-inflicted ones, puck over the glass, that sort of thing. So as long as they don't get into that rut, I think you're right. It's it's more or less a game they want to play at 5-on-5 or on the power play as much as they can. Not take their chances on what they're going to be able to do against this particular power play.
Yeah, just going to get a tweet from a guy just a little bit ago. Says, I would have started Hart tonight. And again, we just went through why that probably wasn't the best decision to not start him tonight when you look at the schedule. But you had a chance earlier today. Let me just say, coming up real quick, we are going to I want to talk about something that Derek Broussard said to me yesterday on today's episode of Flyers Daily.
Okay.
So remind me to bring this up because I think it's important. But you had a chance earlier today to catch up with Flyers assistant coach Mike Yeo, I believe.
Yes, Mike Yeo, talking a little bit about the past couple of games, what the Flyers are expecting tonight, and not sure where I have this queued up to. We're going to see what happens when I hit play, but we'll go from there.
All right. So here's Brian Smith and Flyers assistant coach Mike Yeo.
Mike, I guess the guys. Some good things in game one. What are your thoughts so far on these first two contests and some of the things that you guys have seen from this lineup that have you've been pleased with?
Well, obviously it was well documented. We had an off season of change and a lot of new players coming in. And, I think the first thing that you're looking to establish is some chemistry, and obviously score some goals the first couple of games, so that's a good indication that we're getting there with that. Tonight we're getting Ristolainen back, which will be nice, and adding a new player in Zach McEwen, who's another big body. I like that. To be honest with you, is that we've shown that we're playing for each other. You look at last game, and we did a lot of things well on both sides of the puck, and when it came down to it, we stuck up for each other. We want to establish. Reestablish this place as being a real hard place to play in. And our fans bring it for us every night, and we're able to bring it last game, and I think we should be able to do that again tonight.
I know both Risto and Zach were talking yesterday about how they were kind of chomping at the bit to get in on a game like Monday night, and not that Nick Seeler didn't bring that to the lineup, but those two guys seem to fit right in with that physicality that you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think that there's always been, when I was with other teams and you come into this building, there's sort of an expectation that that's what you're going to face. So we don't want to disappoint anybody. We want to make sure that they have that feeling coming in here, and they have that feeling that when they leave the rink. It obviously, hockey, we're at our best when we're playing fast and we're playing with our skill, and we're playing our system well. But the physical element of our game certainly adds, another dimension that makes us real tough to play against.
I know the starts of games have not been what this team has hoped for a while now, but wasn't the case the first two games. Very good first periods in both cases. Has that been a point of emphasis, or has it been something that just has kind of come with the new mix?
No, a big point of emphasis. That's something that we've been talking about. We've sort of identified some extremely key terminology for us, and one of them is start on time. And you've got to be ready before that puck drops. Mentally, physically, you have to be ready. You have to be prepared. And obviously, like you said, the first two games of the season, we've done that. We're going to need it again tonight. This is a team that starts well, and we want to establish some momentum there against them.
Obviously, the Flyers were very familiar with Boston from a year ago. They haven't played but one game before this one, but you did see them in the preseason. What do you guys know about this team, that some of the challenges you'll face?
Well, I mean, they're a good team year after year. It's driven by their leadership, Marchand, Bergeron. As much as everybody hates those people, and with good reason, it's they drive their team, and obviously they've got high skill, they've got the ability to make plays, but this is a team that works very hard. They play very well defensively. They're not an easy team to get through the neutral zone, and they really don't give up much in their own zone. So our chances, we'll have to work extremely hard for them, and when we have opportunities tonight, we're going to have to be ready to execute.
Mike, thanks for the time. Best of luck tonight.
Okay, thanks, Smitty.
All right, there he is, Flyers assistant coach Mike Yeo. You had a chance to catch up with him earlier. You're right about that, about starts to games. They've look, it's only 2 games, but they've been much better. these first two games starting out.
It's going to be interesting tonight because just looking at the numbers, and again, Boston only played one game, so these numbers. Yeah, I don't know how that happens, but I'd have to go back and look at the schedule. But in that one game, they outshot the opponent 17-5 in the first period. Flyers through two games outshooting their opponents 30-13.
Wow!
So that's a great number for the Flyers of less impressive numbers, being outshot 21-15 in the second, 23-15 in the third. So 44-30 over the final two periods. I'll have to fix that. But two teams that so far have demonstrated the ability to swell and kind of keep their opponent at bay, and the Flyers looking for ways to prevent them happening tonight.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned before we went to the interview with Mike Yo, and you and he touched on part of why I want to bring this up. But I talked to Derek Brassard yesterday, a 3-point game the other night for the Flyers, and he's been a guy that even in the preseason game was readily and willing to protect his teammates. And, that brings a group together, and that, you can rely on the guy next to you in the dressing room across from you and all of that. You got to come together as a team. And on the episode of Flyers Daily that posted today, you can hear in the conversation I asked him about, Nate Thompson and that fight he got into with Nathan Bastian.
Yeah.
And also about Nick Seeler standing in there against Jamie Alexiak. And he said, no one is touching Claude, Coots, or Provy. If other teams want to do that, it's not going to happen in our barn or anywhere on the road. This is a team that's come together. And Rasmus Ristolainen's in the lineup tonight, too, to provide a lot of that physicality. And that's got to be a big part of it with a team that has the potential with some big boys like Boston to push you around a little bit.
That's a great statement to hear at this point in the season. It really is.
Yeah, I mean,
you expect that stuff to jump in and half through the year or whatever, but especially on a team that's gotten as many new faces this year as this one has. Mm-hmm. To see them already having established that as a team, those guys are not going to be the ones answering the bell in any way, shape, or form. That's really cool. I like hearing that.
Yeah, it's great to hear, and it's great to see. Because words are empty a lot of times,
right?
In all different facets of life,
right?
You can say the right things, but they're really meaningless unless you do the right things.
I'm gonna play one more piece of audio for you here.
Okay, what do you got?
Out of the same top as we had last time. This is Nate McEwen yesterday talking to the media. Obviously, he missed Monday's game. He had visa issues. Wasn't cleared to play, because of his work status, but that's been cleared up. But he saw the game, and you'll hear him here. He was asked if he had a little bit of FOMO watching that game. Here's the question and the very short response.
I think part of your game is being physical, sticking up for teammates, things like that. I don't know if you were able to catch last night's game, but did you watch that game think I could fit right in here?
Yeah.
All there is to it, yes.
Yeah, real simple question, simple answer.
He's going to bring that too. He swaps in for basically, I think Max Billman. Yeah, and Ristolainen's in for Seeler. Not that Seeler didn't bring that to the plate as well, but they have a lot of places where they are going to get this kind of physicality from guys that are still skilled players. It's not like they're just running there and they can play hockey and they're just going to take runs at guys. They still have the skill to bring other things to the game.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm just getting this sense, watching the Flyers, watching other teams around the league, we've seen a reaction in this division to the Rangers getting pushed around last year. They bring in Ryan Reeves, right? We've seen this, and it seems like that size and physicality with players is something that teams are not trying, but they're bringing back into the game because it is a necessity.
Right.
It's almost like they overcorrected on the steering wheel for a little bit and just went with small, speedy skill. Mm-hmm. But then they saw that all small, speedy skill doesn't win the playoffs. You have to have some big muscle and a little bit of grit to have success in this league in both the regular season and the playoffs.
And I think that was probably best demonstrated. I guess it's been 3 seasons ago now. It's so hard to remember exactly
how the last swept.
But when Tampa got swept right out of the playoffs by Columbus because they had just cruised through the regular season. I think they had 60 wins if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 121 points.
And they go into the first Columbus and they punched on the chin in game one, and they didn't know what to do with themselves. Now, they did go on to win 2 more Stanley Cups, so I guess that's a little, water under the bridge to them. But it's a good demonstration of your point that you can't just, cruise through a season and not expect to face some adversity come playoff time.
Yeah, and what they did too, they go out, they get Barclay Goodrow, they get Blake Coleman, they get Pat Maroon, and they win 2 cups.
Right.
This is a copycat league. It always what works. Will others teams will mimic. So, we got 30 seconds. We can hear him, so we're good. By the way, just so everybody knows. And we're going to join the WMMR Flyers pregame show on the radio broadcast side here in just a few moments. But I am looking forward to this game tonight. I think it's going to be far different than the games last year between these two teams, because it wasn't pleasant last year. It wasn't pleasant against many teams last year. But it has the potential to be very physical, a little bit old school, and very fun. So we're going to join the MMR pregame show here now as the Open is playing. Can the people hear that on the stream too? And we are live for the Flyers pregame show at the Wells Fargo Center, the East Food Hall. Jason Myrtetus, Brian Smith, getting everybody ready for Flyers game number 3 of the season for the Flyers, with a record of 1-0-1. Lost game 1 in the shootout, won game 2 in the inaugural matchup between the Seattle Kraken. That was a big win the other night for the Flyers, a 6-1 win. And I think one of the things, Bri, that I think about when I think about the game over the Kraken is the fact that they scored 6 goals, but they got goals scored from 6 different players. I think that's the important point.
Yeah, absolutely. They're able to spread it out. They're able to get scoring from different sources. And, this is a team that obviously looks very different than the one that played last year. So you don't know exactly, where it's going to fall, but you would imagine that it's going to be a little more spread out this year than it was last year. You have a lot of other threats coming in from various places, whether it's up front with Cam Atkinson or, on the blue line with the likes of Keith Yandel and Ryan Ellis. So it's great to see that already happening, that they were able to spread it out a little bit. I also liked a lot of the stuff we saw in that game that didn't involve scoring. Most, obviously, the physicality and the standing up for each other and getting that stuff established. And, we know that this team is tight, ready. But I think it's already manifesting itself on the ice now. It's just a matter of coming out against a team that they had trouble with last year, to put it mildly, and seeing if they can't replicate what they've done through, I'd say, 4 of the 6 periods so far this year.
It's amazing, too, because, with the 6 goal scorers, different goal scorers in that game, and you look at the Flyers, only in 2 games, but when you look at the statistics for the Flyers, they have 9 players with multiple points on the season already.
Right.
9 guys. Joe Farabee is leading the way, and he has 4 points, a goal in each game, 2 assists on the season, 4 points to start. And this is a guy, a young player, and has a year left on his entry-level contract. The Flyers extended him in this offseason, which will kick in next year. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of times the worry is you're giving a young guy the money too early. Why not wait? What's the point in waiting? Well, because the price tag could get bigger.
Yeah.
And Joel Farabee is off to it doesn't always go down. Yeah, you're right. And Joel Farabee is off to a tremendous start, both scoring the puck, but also distributing the puck.
I think the Flyers had seen enough of him, not only in his time with the team so far, also in his own personal history, to know that he probably still has a considerable amount of growth left in him in terms of becoming the player that he finally will become consistently as he gets a little bit older. And it was a pretty shrewd move, I thought, by Chuck Fletcher to move in when he did and get him at the number he got. Because, again, I find it likely there would be a higher number. And, the fact that you can establish something like that with the cap situation being the way it is, like it might go up $1 million next year, they say, or maybe the year after that. I'm not sure. But we are not going to see any huge growth in the salary cap anytime soon. So, for that to be established and for Sean Couturier also to be established at a pretty good number, that just makes it that much easier going forward for Chuck and his staff to figure out where they're going to go with this team in the next 3 to 4 years.
All right, so put you on the
all right,
and a little bit for the camp too. So, 9 players have multiple points.
Okay.
The only one that's got multiple points so far this season, averaging a point a game through 2 games, is Sean Couturier. He's got 0 goals and 2 assists.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the players that don't have a goal. And of these players, will one of them score tonight, and which will be the first to score to get their first goal of the season? Will it be Couturier, J.R. Sand, Oscar Lindblom, Ivan Provorov, Nick Seeler, who's not in the lineup, Scott Lawton, Nicholas Aube-Kubel, Max Woolman's not in the lineup, or Nate Thompson? Those are the remaining players.
My first instinct when you asked the question was Scott Lawton. And I've long ago learned that I should not shun the first thing that pops into my head in situations like this, so I'll go with him.
It's certainly not articulate the first thing that comes into your head.
It's definitely something that could be a Couturier or even a JVR if they get in the right power play situation. But I'm going to go with the first inkling I had, which is Scott Lawton.
I would go green money on Sean Couturier. Because he's got 2 assists.
Yeah,
he's playing on the top line, so he's going to get the power play time to boot. And he's a guy that his line mates are playing really well. Claude Giroux, 2 goals already this season. He's off to a great start. Goals, and both goals impactful.
Yep.
The opening goal the other night, right after the save from Carter Hart. Which Claude said when we talked to him after the first period, that absolutely shifted the momentum in that game. And then that one-time clapper off the bar and in. He's got that goal, and he had the one that tied it up against Vancouver off the end ball. And then you look at Travis Konechny, who is so important to this team. He's second in points with 3. He's got 2 goals and an assist. But I think that Couturier is a guy that gets a goal tonight in this game. And it's an interesting matchup when you talk about the top line of the Flyers and the top line of the Bruins. Does Alain Vigneault opt to use the Sean Couturier line? And Sean Couturier has been part of this shutdown line for so long. It's one of the strengths of his game. Right. He's a Selke Award winner.
Yep.
Does he use that as a matchup against the Bergeron line, or does he try and get that matchup somewhere else with last change in this game as the home team?
Yeah, he's going to have the capability to be flexible and see what works best. And, whether that's the 2 Selke guys going against each other or whether they spread it out. We'll have to see. I also wouldn't be surprised to see James Van Riemsdyk be the one, because I'll tell you what, he and Keith Yandel, we've seen it in practices. We saw it in the morning skate, too.
The tips.
Yeah. Just tip after tip after tip, like 15 slappers in a row. He catches every one of them. Yandel has been working very hard.
Forehand side, backhand side.
Going up, going down. He's been working very hard on making that puck go where JVR. And that's going to start paying off here soon once they get the power play opportunities.
Yeah, when you realize the skill that, great net front guys have, and JVR falls into that category, everybody.
Yeah.
They don't just get a stick on the puck to change its direction. They get a stick on the puck and dictate where it's going in the change of direction.
Uh-oh. Eric's here.
Is that a dangler he's wearing, like a goalie dangler?
Yeah, it looks like that. Look at that.
Yeah, there you go.
That's getting creative with the mask there.
Throat protector on.
Can't block that paintwork.
No, you cannot. And look, these fans have been great in the first 2 games, and I hope they're treated to another beauty tonight here. But that's a good point you bring up with that's part of the learning curve too for Keith Yandel, and getting that timing down with James Van Riemsdyk. Where do you like the puck so you can tip it? Yep. All right. Well, why don't everybody stay tuned and find out exactly where he likes it and what's going to happen in this game. Stay tuned. Tim Saunders and Steve Coates, they've got the countdown to face-off between the Flyers and Bruins. You've been listening to the Flyers pregame show on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.
Flyers hockey on 93.3 WMMR Philadelphia. Everything that rocks.
You're listening to 93.3 WMMR Philadelphia.